What's up, brother?
Hey man, how are you?
Well, I'm tired. It's Wednesday. It feels like it should be Friday. It's been a
Oh,
very productive week, but back to back to back to back meetings, and me talking and putting everything into it gets me tired. So, ready for the day
yeah,
to end.
yeah, I get that. I get that. But what time is it? It's 4:30. I mean,
4:30, man. By the
yeah.
time we're done, it'll be Miller time, so I'll be good to go.
There you go. There you go.
What's new
What's
and
going on,
exciting?
man? What's going on in your world?
Ready for the weekend, as you know. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, what are you doing this weekend?
I might come down south and say hi to my buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, dude, you're gonna love this. The Big Temecula Rod Run, which is literally like, I don't know if it's one of the biggest, but we have people bring their hot rods from all over the country, and there's people that come from all over the world. Maybe because they're already in Temecula drinking wine anyway, but I always meet people from other countries when I go to this thing. But the
Huh.
Temecula Rod Run is so much fun. There's hundreds of classic cars, there's supercars, there's Lamborghinis, there's 57 Chevys. It is going to be fun. But Friday night, we're going to dinner with my president, his wife. So the six of us will go to Lorimar Winery, see a really good band, have some dinner, drink some wine, have a nice relaxing evening, maybe have a cigar by the fire, and then Saturday we'll go to the Rod Run. How's that
All right.
sound?
All right. It sounds great, man. Sounds great.
How was your week?
It's been good so far, busy. Our new little startup here is starting to gain a little bit of traction here and there. So it's good. I really truly enjoy myself being back in startup mode. And what's really awesome is that being back with a small little startup, you kind of get a chance to reinvent a lot of the stuff that you've done before for so many years and try to come up with kind of a better mousetrap for everything. The bad thing about it is that everything then takes forever. But the good thing is that you kind of get a chance to do everything better than you kind of feel like it was, right?
Well, it's kind of like having a second kid. You made your mistakes on the first kid. Luckily, it
Absolutely.
survived. But this time you didn't sell. You don't sell the first kid for millions of dollars. But then you get to do it the second time around. You get to you get to go. Oh, I remember when I did this the first time 30 years ago. I'm going to do it differently this time, and then you have a little bit different results. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Mike, one of the things that truly bothers me in EP and protection is that I'm 54 and I've been working full time in protection since I was 21, right? And 95% of what we do is probably the same, which kind of worries me a lot, right? Because having this business kind of moved forward, hasn't the way we protect people moved forward? Are we still doing the right thing? I don't know, man, but it can't be that 95% or so is still the same. What other things don't move in 30 years?
I understand what you're saying, but let's face it, the fundamentals of protecting a person and their family, isn't that always going to be the same? It's just the tools we use to do it effectively are going to change, like technology.
I don't know. It's one of the things that I'm really mind boggling myself with here, because I feel like at least I have an obligation to myself to try and figure it out, right? So I kind of push myself very hard to think about what can be done in a different way, what can be done better. Is this still the right way of doing things, right?
Well, and knowing you as I do, I'm not shocked that you're having that quandary or dilemma or whatever, because as everybody knows, I call you the Elon Musk of executive protection, because that giant brain and that giant cranium of yours never turns off. And I'm not shocked that you're saying this right now, but I believe and I don't think you're second guessing. You're always
Yeah.
analyzing to try and make better. But dude, let's face it, the fundamentals of things don't change. If they change that much, they're a different industry, they're a different product, they're a different service.
I don't know, man.
Protecting people.
Well, now you mentioned Elon Musk, right? I mean, half the cars on the street, or one third of the cars today, are electric, right? Meaning that mechanics have to kind of like change the way that they fix cars or whatever. Yes, we agree that cars still have wheels, but that's probably the only things that's the same as 30 years ago, right?
Well, look at it this way. If you want to talk about cars, to
No,
fix a
I don't know
car,
if I want to talk about cars, but what you see what I'm saying though, right?
using that illustration, okay, to fix a car 50 years ago, they would pull a car up on ramps to get it off the ground so a guy could crawl underneath. He's still going to use the same wrench. He's still going to twist a bolt to lock something on. Now they've got lifts. So we've improved our ability to protect, but why would the fundamentals change?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, there you go. I mean, I'm probably just nerding out over nothing and wasting a bunch of time, but
no, you're not wasting time. Listen,
I'll tell you when I get to it.
I think anybody in EP, how's my camera? Because this thing goes in and out of me. It's like, it's weird. It's got this autofocus. It's not going to help it, and doesn't take all the lines out of my face, so I shouldn't even complain. I think there's a lot of people in our industry that would be fascinated with the idea. And in fact, maybe somebody listening is going to send a message in and go, hey, I know what you're saying. And maybe it should be different. Maybe 5% of it should be different. And this is how it should be done. And I think that's why discussions like this are valuable. I think this stimulates thought, and the collective mind is certainly more powerful than the individual mind. So
for sure.
I think it's interesting. And again, I'm not at all shocked that this is something that you're, chewing on and trying to dissect and analyze and come up with some conclusion, because that's what your brain does. And that's why it's fun on the weekends when we're sitting there, hanging out by the pool or whatever, and start talking, and then you go off on a tangent, and I go, damn, I never thought about that. So
yeah,
you know what I found funny? I had two very big conversations on some very big potential products this week, one Monday and one yesterday. One was with a guy named Greg Pearson, who is one of the owners of Focus Point, who I've known from 20 years ago when he was with the Steel Foundation, and I was working for him. They contracted a bunch of the security work for all the hurricanes down in the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've maintained a friendship, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for the guy. So we're on a Zoom call talking about a huge project that we're going to collaborate on. And of course, your name comes up. Oh no, your name comes up because he follows me on Facebook, and he goes, "Hey, how's our buddy West doing?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Christian West." He goes, I've known that guy for decades, and great guy. So of course, we started talking about you. We made that connection, which I thought was hilarious. And then yesterday, I'm on with a potential client on a massive project that we're going to collaborate on, and he's in China, not Shanghai. I don't know, one of the other big cities, and we're talking about doing some international stuff. Now, I'm only domestic. I don't do stuff internationally, but of course I know that you do. And I said, well, and he goes, well, how's your coverage in other countries? And I go, well, I would bring in my buddy Christian West, because he does all the international stuff. He goes, Christian West? I know Christian West. Mm-hmm. This guy was former Chinese Secret Service. Then he was the head of security for JP Morgan Chase. And then he started his own company. And I'm like, how do you know Christian? So he goes, oh, I've known him since 2008 or 2012. He goes, hey, tell him I said hello. So that's two conversations, and they all know you, which I thought was just hilarious, but not surprising. So anyway, I told you hello from both of them.
Yeah, thank you for that. And yes, I know both of them. And I've worked with, I can't remember, John, what's his last name, out in China.
Wang.
Multiple times. Good guy. Really good guy. Yeah. And same with Greg Pearson. I was a subcontractor as well back in the days, and great people. And that's actually one of the things I really love about this industry.
Yep.
Is the people in it, right? Because the good people really stand out. And I have people that I formed friendships with over 30 years or whatever from working with them around the world. And it's cool, man. It's one of the best feelings there is when you talk to these people.
It is cool. And you know what else is cool? And let's go back to something that Craig McKim would get a I don't want to say anything bad, but he would get all warm and fuzzy about, is the networking. because I have maintained. Oh, and the reason that I was brought to this guy from China is a PI in California that does international investigations that I've known for 20 years, involved in the California Association of Licensed Investigators. So this guy, John Wang, goes to Randy Torgerson and says, hey, do you know anyone that can do this fulfillment in the United States? He goes, sure, I know, puts us on a call. Same thing with Greg Pearson. Greg Pearson. Did you want to take that phone call during our live stream?
No.
Sure?
I just wanted to
go ahead. You handle your business. I'll wait.
Yeah. Of course. Thanks, Mike.
So because I network, I met these guys doing business 20 years ago, but I maintained that network by staying in touch with them. Now they have brought me massive deals because I maintain those relationships, and part of you do that is through networking at conferences and other things like that. So,
that's the way to do it, man. And networking is that important.
It is important, and that's why I believe that being a member of associations and actually going to the local and large annual conferences is so valuable. You may make one relationship, you may meet one person that sets your career on fire. But you got to maintain those relationships. And that's why I say you got to, when you go to these things, turn your personality on. Don't be that super macho, guy in the corner checking everybody out, sizing them up, thinking they're sizing you up. Because forget all that ego bullshit, man. Just be a person and gain friendships and relationships. And I think that's why we know so many people.
I think so. And of course, when you go to conferences and whatever, we got to remember that what brings us all there is the job, right? And it's what we do, and it's the passion for the industry. But what makes the friendships is typically the people or the things that falls outside of the normal round to talk about, right? And I have people that I still work with and use, and they use me for stuff. And we met at my first training course in the 90s, right? And still good friends, and we help each other out all the time. And it's pretty awesome. So it's definitely something that everybody should pay attention to and become really good at, right?
I agree. A couple things. One, I'd love to just chat briefly about Sedona, but before we do that, guess who I'm having on my podcast Tuesday?
Oh, I know who you're having on your podcast on Tuesday.
Who's that?
Joe LaSorsa.
Joe LaSorsa.
That's how I know you have a podcast, man.
Oh, please. You'll be on it soon enough. But
no, that's not what I meant. I just didn't know you were doing a podcast.
Well, I just set up last month. We just set up. We took one of the units in the office building that I own and turned it in. It's no longer an office. It is a podcast studio. We spent a stupid amount of money, more than I wanted to, but I was told I had to, on cameras and stuff. But what's cool is you're going to love this. Well, you won't care as much because you're not a cigar smoker. I put in an exhaust fan so we can sit and drink whiskey or whatever and smoke cigars in this room in my office building, and it sucks all the smoke out so it won't kill all my employees. So I'm pretty excited about that. And when I'm frankly sick of everybody, I can go and lock the door and sit in there and smoke cigars by myself. So I'm pretty happy about that.
So that's the real reason then, huh?
Probably, but the podcast made it a write-off. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
So, hey, well, we'll probably talk about your business, you and his partnership and what you guys have got going on and what you're doing and how cool it must be for you guys to work together. I've known Joe for a few years, but distantly just through the industry. But it's not until you and I became friends that I really like when we went to dinner in Miami at that what was that mansion that they turned into a restaurant where the guy got killed.
Versace.
Yeah, they turned the Versace mansion into a restaurant. It wasn't until he and I sat there and dinner that we actually started getting to know each other. And now I really like him. I mean, he's a family man. He's a good businessman. He's got a great history. He worked for his father like I did. So I think that's really neat. So I like the guy. I'm really looking forward. I don't think he has any idea what he's getting into.
Well, let's see how it goes. You never know before we start, right? But
no, not you. Not
No,
you,
no.
me, the podcast, because I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's really cool. But I met Joe in kind of a cool way because when he first came on the scene with social media, I was kind of sitting there watching, and this guy was pretty good at it. And I realized that I didn't know the guy, so I called him up out of the blue and go, "Hey, who are you?" And in the beginning, he was like, "Why are you calling me?" And I was like, "Hey, man, no bad things, whatever. I just think your social media is really cool, and I don't know you." And I kind of made it my mission to know as many people as I could in this industry, and especially the people that I at that point thought was somebody. So I just reached out of the blue, and yeah, turned into a friendship from there, and later on business partnership. So again, networking, right, is the way to do it.
100%. And
Yeah.
one of the things I like so much about Joe is, and first of all, well, two things. One, I said, dude, who does your social media? Because your social media is on point. He says, I do it all myself. I
Hmm.
can't believe that guy, as hard as he works between EP and training, he does his own social media, and his social media is good. And it's out there in your face. Like, it's bold, and it's I wouldn't say there's ego, but it's very, hey, we're EP, and the pictures depict that. But to know Joe LaSorsa, that guy, I have never seen a shred of ego in a negative way from that guy. I think he is so humble and such a good dude. And you don't always see that. And especially seeing his social media, I was kind of expecting a little bit of the big tough guy. He is just a freaking cool guy.
Oh, totally cool, dude. I mean, Joe's awesome, and what he's been doing is really cool. And he's the probably the most tech savvy guy I have met as a business owner in EP, which is really, really cool, right? Because that also helps us reinvent a lot of the stuff that we do. Because he has a much more technology take to everything back office than we ever had, and it's awesome. It's really cool, really cool. So
Like I said, I believe the fundamentals of protection don't change. It's the tools we use. And technology is one of the greatest tools we have and that we use. So for him to be a techie is a great thing for you and your business,
oh,
because
absolutely.
he's on the forefront of the changes in technology, which happen, it seems like, daily. So it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does a lot, and I like it, and I'm enjoying it. So good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right. So let's talk about Sedona.
Okay.
So we took our girlfriends to Sedona the weekend before last. I
Hmm.
had never been there. You'd been there 7 or 8 times, and you guys were bugging us to go, and it just didn't work. It didn't work. And finally, I said, okay, let's do this. And I thought, I grew up in northern Colorado with lots of mountains and trees. I thought, how good could this be? Dude, I came back a changed person. And they talk about this energy vortex. I swear to God, it's not it sucks the negativity and stress out of your body and your psyche and your soul. And I can't remember the last time I felt as good as I did there, and since I've got back. And I'm a stress case, I'm a control freak. Everything, I'm always operating right at this frequency until I can finally relax a little bit, usually with a cigar and some scotch. When I left Sedona, I was at baseline. I was so good, and the last week and a half has been completely different for me. What do you think?
You know, I'm a pretty simple guy on stuff. I don't know, but I know that every time I leave there, my stress level is down and I feel great. But is it a vortex? Is it special energy? Is it just because you relax better when you're there? Is it because there's not a lot of stuff going on? I can't tell you that, but I've been to a lot of places around the world, and you know me, I favor the country and the nature and whatever over big cities and stuff like that. So I have plenty of chances to relax and go to the middle of nowhere, and that's really what I truly enjoy. But what I like about Sedona is that it's kind of like this little city. And yes, there's a lot of tourists, and that's probably overshadowing how it was originally and all that. but you're surrounded by this view of nature and rocks, and I don't know, man. It's awesome, and it has been awesome every time we've been there, which is why we go keep coming back. And since it's only a 4-hour drive from our house, it's really easy. And yeah, I mean, we try to go maybe 3, 4 times a year at least. So it's fun.
I told Heather we're going twice a year from now on.
Mhm.
If nothing else, if 3 or 4 days is it, then that's going to be it. Because the way I felt in nature on that hike we took, the clean air, the sunshine, the beauty, and then the people that worked there were amazing. The meals were great. Oh, and another thing that I thought was pretty funny, you hate dive bars. Like, I know we've been to them. You don't really like any big groups like that, but you hate dive bars. And when we were at Mooney's and that band started, it's like somebody turned you on and lit you up, because you and Tan were like, wow. And you got all animated, and she starts dancing, and they hand her the tambourine and she's going with the band. That was so freaking fun.
No, it is fun. And it's not that I don't like dive bars or whatever. I mean, I'm just not a bar person as much, I guess, but I like live music, right? And this band was freaking awesome, and we were with good people, and everybody was relaxed, and it was, yeah, I mean, it was a great weekend. It's gonna be hard for Temecula Rod to beat that one.
Well, I don't think the Temecula Rod Run's going to beat that.
Nah,
but hanging out in my backyard is also pretty cool. So we'll enjoy that. We'll build a fire, drink some wine.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, listen, so I'm trying to keep these to 20 minutes. We're at 21:30. So I'm going to wrap it up. I will tell you, my brother, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. I don't know what time you're coming out on Friday, but we got reservations at the winery at 6 p.m. So we'll enjoy that. And we'll have some fun in Old Town Temecula, and then probably relax for a while on Sunday before you guys head back.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we're actually heading to San Diego for a big event down there afterwards. So
that's right. That's right. I remember that. Very good.
Good
All right, my man. Well, until I see you in 2 days, but also until we do another one of these in a couple of weeks. Thank you for being my friend, and let's keep doing this. I enjoy it.
Oh, for sure. And thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on, and I'll see you in a few days.
All right, brother. Be good.
Take care.